Today we were talking about the chair of truth, and basically how the chair of truth came around was because my oldest daughter was about 3 or 4, and I started recognizing certain signs when she would be telling me things that weren't so honest, right? So she would come up and she'd squirm a little, she wouldn't be able to look me in the eye, and in my mind I'm like, she's trying to formulate a story, you know, she's working on something big. So we would my ex-husband and I were talking about this, how we were seeing her make up more and more stories and how do we get around it and really get the honest truth out of her. So I came up with a technique called the chair of truth. And what that is, it's basically a little chair. You can get one from your kitchen, you can pull a cute chair from IKEA, whatever you need. And basically, I sat her down in the chair of truth and we started talking. And she understands the difference between a lie, telling a lie and telling the truth. So we talked about that and how there's often repercussions for not being honest. And how can we avoid that? How can we make it comfortable for her to tell us exactly what she's saying or feeling, or the true story behind whatever just happened. So the chair of truth essentially is this. She's allowed to come to me at any time, or I'm allowed to pull her into the chair of truth at any time. And we sit down and anything goes. She can tell me anything she's saying, feeling, anything that happened, and there'll be no repercussions, no punishments for it. It's essentially a way of us to be able to communicate openly and her feel like she's in a safe place. We have the chair of truth because my honest thought about this is one day when she's 16, I know I'm going to get a phone call and it's going to be like, Mom, I need to come home and talk to you in the chair of truth. And be like, oh, crap. I knew I shouldn't have had this chair of truth thing. She's going to tell me she's pregnant, she crashed my car. But at the end of the day, that's what I want. That's the relationship I want to be able to have with my girls. I want them to be able to sit down and talk to me open and honestly, so I don't have to find out through the grapevine from the neighbor's son's best friend that, you know, things are happening in my daughter's life that I don't know about. So the chair of truth has 3 main rules, and this is what I have to make sure and always be conscious that I'm doing. One is anything goes, and I can't be angry in the chair of truth. We just sit. I try to be as rational as I can and as patient as I can, because if you read my blog, you know that that is not one of my virtues. So I sit and I let her talk, I don't interrupt, and when we go through the whole story, and I stay calm and cool and rational. Number 2 is I try to do my best never to hold it against her after the fact. So there's no repercussions later, there's no punishment, there's nothing that I say that can be held against her at any time. And so the third rule here is that it stays a secret. Everything that's said in the chair of truth stays between me and Maddie, or me and Sydney. And I just make sure that I always honor and recognize that it took a lot for them to come sit me down and be honest with me, because it's always easier to hide the truth and then hide it with another lie, and then hide it and hide it. And so that's about the chair of truth. That is our post for today. So stay tuned for next week.